1925, the Coney Island Cyclone opened as the first roller coaster to reach 100 feet. This was a wooden coaster, as steel coasters hadn't been invented yet. Then, in 1959, Arrow and Walt Disney opened the Matterhorn bobsleds, which was the first steel tubular coaster. This was insane because it's technically the first modern roller coaster. Arrow then extended their design with Corkscrew at Knott's Berry Farm, the first roller coaster to go upside down. Again, Arrow went even further with Magnum XL 200, which exceeded 200 feet. Then, Cedar Point had done it again, the first coaster to exceed 300 foot. But this wasn't designed by Arrow, this was designed by Intamin. Millennium Force used the same concept as Magnum XL 200, which had been perfected over the last 10 years, in focusing on airtime, bigger drops and bank turns. Then, 5 years later, Intamin and Cedar Point did it again. Top Thrill Dragster, the first roller coaster to reach 400 feet. Now this has been considered a one-trick pony, but it's a record breaker. Then, Maverick, low to the ground, tight transition coasters with inversions. Again, it opened at Cedar Point, and it ended the Coaster Wars. It had rave reviews and people loved it, and now it's considered one of the best coasters at Cedar Point. As I just said, it ended the Coaster Wars. This was because parks saw that they do not need to build 400, 500 foot coasters to remain popular. They can build low to the ground, compact thrill coasters. Over 8 years later, Intamin worked with Phantasialand to bring one of the most immersive coasters in the world, Taron. A milder Intamin Blitz, but the theming and rock work was basically on a whole nother level. After that, Pantheon, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Most Erotic Adventure, wow that's a long name, Cheetah Hunt and Taiga were opened and announced, all were completed. Then, in the middle of the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Intamin worked with Universal Islands of Adventure to bring you Velocicoaster. It had a layout very reminiscent of Maverick or Taiga and even some RMC elements, and the theming of Taron or Hagrid's, because I'm not going to say that full name, it's really long. Parks are quickly seeing the impact of a themed and compact thrill coaster. It was always one or the other for parks, but now they'll see the full value of a themed thrill coaster. When Universal or Disney do something, others follow. That's just the fact of the coaster. And also, when Intamin do something, other manufacturers do it too. Universal's theming and Intamin's thrill rides is a match made in heaven. The way Universal is saving Intamin from the Intamin drought was the same the way Disney saved Vekoma, and now Vekoma are creating some of the best coasters in the world. I've seen many people say that this could be Intamin's way back in the coaster industry, but if you look at their most recent ride, their most recent Intamin Blitz, Sandy's Blasting Broncos, well, it's had loads of problems. Most of them have been revolving the New Jersey state laws because it's an American Dream Nickelodeon universe, but you've got a ride which has a very complex LSM system. I think it's got an upside down launch, but I may be confusing that with another coaster, and turntable, and you're telling me it's not Intamin's fault whatsoever. Surely a little bit of that's Intamin. They're still not that reliable. And then you've got Taiga, which is the most recent and best Intamin Blitz coaster of this decade, I guess, and it's actually done pretty well. It opened a month after it's finished testing and 2 months after the final track piece was topped off. So overall, that may sound bad, but it's actually pretty good because it has to go through multiple park tests and inspections from the local government. So that's not Intamin's fault. And all Velocicoaster's been testing for months. So really, it's actually pretty good. So Intamin is getting better, but it's still not great. The last Intamin coaster before the Intamin drought was Skyrush at Hershey Park, and it's mainly unpopular because of the restraints, which thigh crush, obviously. Now, I haven't been on Sky Rush because I live in the UK, so yeah, we can't even leave the country right now. But yeah, I was there when Flying Aces was a construction in Abu Dhabi, so I sort of know what it looks like in real life, if you know what I mean. And it was considered a failure because of these restraints, and it cost 25 million, which is about the same price as B&M Hyper, which usually costs 30 to 40 million, so maybe 5 million more. But for most parks, 5 million is not a huge deal, unless it's Six Flags. But for a Cedar Fair park or Hershey Park, that's actually pretty good. And then compared to a Mark, which costs 20 to 30 million again, so they're not doing too bad on price. And I think Hyperion at Energylandia only cost 15 million, I think, which is incredible. Like, that's almost budget park. Like, Six Flags could install one for Magic Mountain, to be honest. I just think that, Universal have done so well. Like, Islands of Adventure deserve this many coasters. Apparently, Dueling Dragons was so good. And you know what? A dueling B&M inverts just sounds insane. Like, I love Nemesis Inferno at my home park. And imagine that twice with a layout that's four times. Like, it just sounds absolutely incredible. And after that got removed, Hagrid's is quite a good heir to that area, but it will never compare to Dueling Dragons. But it's a family coaster, and that's what Island of Adventure needed. A high thrill family coaster that was really well themed. But that does leave a bit of a gap for thrill seekers. I mean, the only real thrill coaster there now is the Incredible Hulk coaster, and well, that's always got a long line. So they really needed to spread the crowds out for thrill seekers, and I think Velocicoaster was probably the best thing to go there because it's got so much theming, so much rock work. It's got a popular theme that is tried and tested, people will love, and it's got a layout that has a 0G roll, a 0G stall, and a 0G roll. Like, that's two of the best elements. And theming and and maybe with their lower prices, and if they fix their reliability, Cedar Fair could work with them, because look at some of the coasters they make. Maverick, every Intamin coaster at Cedar Point, Intimidator 305. Like, do I need to go on? They're some of the best coasters in the world. Millennium Force, as I've mentioned, Maverick, Dragster. And then maybe with a little bit of luck, if they get their prices down even lower, so they go from 15 million to 10 million, then they could even work with Six Flags, and they'd install one at, as I said, Magic Mountain or Great Adventure. I mean, Intamin again. Some of the Intamins, King Dakar and El Toro, and then the second fastest coaster in the world and the tallest in the world. And maybe, after seeing the impact Velocicoaster has at Island of Adventure, Cedar Point could, refurbish Maverick, because they do have a storyline for it. They could have, a pre-section in the second launch. And, Six Flags could theme Full Throttle or Drinker's Drinks. That's not going to happen. But in summary, Velocicoaster, good. Intamin, good. They just sort of need to get better at a few things. Yeah.